Big meeting happening in 90 minutes. The president will be meeting with Republican House members at the White House, and one of those Republicans made a stop by our CNN cameras there on Capitol Hill before heading to the White House. She is Lynn Jenkins, Kansas Congresswoman. Congresswoman, thank you so much for stopping by. We truly appreciate it. Let me just ask you, out of the gate, what do you plan to say to the president?
Well, we plan to ask the president how can we move forward to get the government back open and move towards addressing our out-of-control spending problem and our huge debt and deficit issue.
I hear you on the spending. Listen, both sides have talking points, but let me ask you what the question is. In terms of how we move forward. Let's say, obviously it's accepted he's talking to you all, but what is this about? This is where I'm confused. Is it about Obamacare? Is it about entitlements?
It's about our spending problem, and all of those things are contributing to our debt and deficit. Certainly the mandatory spending program, our autopilot spending programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, throw in Obamacare. They're the drivers of our debt.
But which is it, if I can just try to get a straight answer from you? Is it all of the above?
It is all of the above. We will like to negotiate on all of those fronts. What we're trying to do is get to a point where we can stop spending more money than we take in year after year after year. No individual family can do that. No small business at home in Kansas to do that. The federal government cannot continue to operate like this. We have $17 trillion in debt. This ends badly for our economy if we don't demonstrate an ability to get our fiscal house in order.
Let me ask you specifically about this meeting, because Jay Carney, White House press briefing earlier today, was asked, and he said, listen, the president invited all these Republicans to come. He would have loved to have talked to everyone. We know that the House leadership specifically will not be attending. No Speaker Boehner, no Leader Cantor. Can you tell me why?
He invited the entire House to talk to us. We didn't feel that that would be very productive. Right now, what we need is a negotiation. So our entire leadership, elected leadership team, including Speaker Boehner, Eric Cantor, myself, and our leaders in key committees, our committee chairman, will be going up today to lay out what we would like to see happen in the hours and days ahead.
So leaders will be there. Am I incorrect? So Speaker Boehner and Leader Cantor will be in attendance with you at the White House in 90 minutes.
Absolutely.
They will. And we hear, listen, I hear from both sides of the aisle, and I know from a lot of Republicans I'm hearing this, we want negotiations. We want negotiations. My question is, why didn't those negotiations happen many, many months ago? We heard the Speaker actually saying, I want to say it was back in May, but at some point this spring, we will not tie Obamacare to this budget battle. Obviously that changed. But why didn't both sides talk about this debt ceiling deadline, the budget issue? This is not news. You had the deadlines. Why weren't you all talking months ago?
Well, why we find ourselves here is because the Senate hadn't passed a budget in 5 years, and they didn't pass one appropriation bill all year long. That's how regular order works. The House passed their budget. We've marched through our appropriation process. We spent the last 2 weeks funding various key components of the federal government, but the Senate has failed to do any of those things, and that's why we find ourselves in the position that we do today with a shutdown.
Okay, I hear you, and this frustration, and this group isn't doing this, and this back and forth, but this is what I think the American...
Those are the facts.
Facts are great, but this is what the American people, I think, part of the frustration is. This may be good news, and the president, according to Jay Carney, is happy at this possibility of this deadline, moving maybe 6 weeks. But what can you tell the American people, Congresswoman Jenkins, that we will not be having this same conversation in early December?
That is absolutely our intent, to put this to bed right now and once and for all address the issue at hand, and that's our out-of-control Washington wasteful spending. We've got hopefully a window of opportunity here, a 6-week negotiation period where we're going to appoint our budget committees, and the two sides can sit down and come to some agreement. I think it's a good sign that the president has finally come to the table to visit with us, and we've made an offer today that takes default off the table, so no one needs to be worried about our markets.
Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins, Republican Kansas. Congresswoman, thank you. We will wait to hear back from you as far as this meeting goes.